Everybody, sorry I'm coming on so late. Oh, it is really late, but it is fast and it is just very rich. Uh, there's so much. There's so much that applies to Richard's case because it's so big. It's so big. Our son's case is so big, and there's so much overlapping with other cases going on right now. And that we want to absolutely identify all of um, those pieces of evidence, document them, and then uh, turn them into complaints or filings to all of the agencies and um, institutions. And you might even ask, before we get started, you might even ask, why do you bother? Why do you bother writing thousands of letters for years, letter after letter? Things change, people change, and we are determined to get accountability. We are determined to get our son's remains, and we have been very effective considering what we have been having to go through, what they've put us through. We've had huge success, and now we have total respect of the institutions. Of We have so much information coming in now, and so many people in law enforcement and in the institutions uh, didn't even know what was happening because the files were being tampered with. The files were being tampered with, and also many parts of the file were being deleted. So, tampered and deleted, whitewashed, whatever you want to call it. And we have to keep, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with these bad actors, with these evildoers, what they're deleting, what they're manipulating. And so we have to keep filing, keep adding to our file. And of course, now with the new administration, with new events happening, with new political agendas happening, then you get traction, and you get um, uh, accountability, and you get the letters from the president. You get designations of in the line of duty. You get all kinds of evidence, like with this Julio Cordero's. Um, uh, well, I don't want to say what I think it was, but he was fatally shot. He was fatally shot. And we would like to see the video being released because his case is intertwined with our son's case, just like the assassination attempts on President Trump is intertwined with our son's case, just like the Walmart mass shooting is intertwined with our son's case, just like um, Charlie Kirk's assassination is intertwined with our son's case. And, it's hard for people, even a year ago when the assassination attempt on President Trump happened in July of 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania. And with a little bit of research, we were like, oh my gosh, this intertwines with Richard's case. It's the same faction, it's the same group. Um, and, so what happened to Richard was very political. We know that it was very political. And of course, what happened to Charlie Kirk, uh, his assassination is very political. And the Walmart mass shooting is very political. Okay, it wasn't, and I will even put in this little local political hit job. And I said it days ago. We were right all along that what they're doing to Max Grossman is a political hit job. And now it's been confirmed that what they're doing to him is a political hit job. So I'm going to explain that all today. It is September 12th. September 12th. We got through September 11th again, remembering uh, that that political hit job. Absolutely. And much more, there's so much deception with 9/11. We know that now. It's not me saying it, it's the world saying it. And, but we want to remember all those that lost their life. It's a bloody incident, a bloody deal. That's what it is. And it caused so much blood, with even the uh, the false direction that our uh, leaders took us into, and they've never been held accountable for all of that loss of life and loss of property, loss of ancient property, um, unnecessary war. Uh, it is really, uh, it just tells you what we are up against. That that kind of crimes against humanity, over and over again, they can get away with it. But I think that something has changed, and I can tell you that it's big. It's really big. Something has really changed, and I don't think they're going to uh, get that kind of impunity anymore. You see that all over the world, and it might take a little time, but this is why we file, and we never stop. We fight for justice. We fight for what is right. We fight for accountability, and we fight to get Richard's remains. So let's get started on this 1,867 days that Richard was forcibly taken from his barracks room, and his life was taken from him brutally on Fort Bliss, on Fort Bliss. And we have evidence, uh, evidence upon evidence that the authorities found Richard's remains, that they have Richard's remains. And that's why we want Richard's remains. We want to know where they have them, and we want them returned to us. We know that Richard was a whistleblower. We know that he stood in the breach, that he stood in the breach with honor and loyalty and duty for this country, that he's a hero, that he was the distinguished honor graduate for his cycle and basic training. And we know that he blew the whistle, and we know that those that retaliated against him and took his life and covered it up are part of his unit, that his unit leadership was in on this, and it went all the way up to General Mealy, absolutely to General Mealy, General McConville, these are four-star generals, General Garrett. And General Garrett is very dirty in all of this. Well, they're all dirty. And then you have the CID Provost Marshal that became the IG of the Army, Donna Martin. Um, she is just, she is just scum, absolutely scum, and should not be getting any kind of benefits at all from our government. She should be stripped, all of them, All of these generals should be stripped of their uniform and of their stars and of all their benefits. Absolutely, they are scum. And they participated in a mutiny. Absolutely traitors. Absolute traitors serving foreign and domestic enemies. And that is because evidence absolutely confirms it. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. Um, uh, do better research than the FBI. Thank you so much. Um, we have been doing this for 5 years, and because the cases are overlapping, when we see something that, oh my gosh, a red flag goes up and we have to check on it and then we post it. And we have been doing this longer than um, a lot of the a lot of the professional investigators that haven't been doing their duty, right? Um, or busy covering up, like Conal Whetten. Conal Whetten is part of the Mormon faction that covered for Leilani Hart and covers for Woody Hunt. Okay, and that's just the way the evidence declares it. It's not something that I'm saying, and I have to speak the truth. And speaking the truth is really what is the main problem for these evildoers right now. I think it was absolutely why Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It wasn't anything he did, right? Because he really doesn't do anything. He just would speak to people. He just took time out to speak. He uh, that was what he did. He spoke uh, his right, his First Amendment right. He would speak and have a conversation with people, and he would film it, and he would let anyone ask him questions, right? And he stood his ground, and his ground was very influential and convinced many people um, to uh, to think about what they were doing, and I've heard many became Christians because of Charlie Kirk. Well, evildoers hate that because they hate Christianity, because they hate God, because they want God's throne, right? They want God's throne. They want to be as God. This is the main problem. And Charlie Kirk, agree with him or not agree with him, I couldn't say that I agreed with him on everything, but I did agree that he had the right uh, of free speech and that he could talk with people and he could record it and he could publish it and be influential. And it is, to me, it's not an accident. It's not a coincidence that, matter of fact, I had someone tell me today that, of course, the assassination was professional. We've already did that clinical review on what happened to Charlie Kirk, and of course, today his body was brought back home by the Vice President of the United States, and using bagpipes and living in Ireland and having a husband that plays the bagpipes and that would play at funerals in Iraq, at a funeral during the Gulf War. And I just, of course, love the bagpipes. Um, and that was what Charlie Kirk would play all the time. The Kirk is Scottish word for the church. If you didn't know that, in Scotland they call the church the Kirk, the Kirk. So I'm sure that had something to do with him playing the Scottish bagpipes, the Highland pipes, for his intro. You know, and uh, he had absolutely the right to have his show and to speak his mind. And the evildoers, they just couldn't tolerate it because he was so influential. And we've been told today that, um, there. Uh, it is no accident that it was in Utah, that it was Utah Valley University. 80% of them belong to the Mormons, right? The Mormons. And here they are, very young. They're very young. And here comes this Christian onto this Mormon. And Mormons aren't Christians. They say it. I even look on Wikipedia or whatever. I don't understand why they are deceptive on their definition. Maybe I don't understand, but I do know this: they don't believe that Jesus is God, that Jesus is part of the Trinity. And that is the definition of a Christian. The Christian is the Trinity. It's the Apostles' Creed. It's the Nicene Creed. It's the Athanasius Creed. That's the best. That's the best. If you want to know about the Trinity, you read the Athanasius Creed. And if you believe that the Athanasius Creed is saying the truth, you're a Christian. You're a Christian when you confirm the Apostle, the Nicene Creed, the Athanasius Creed, and the Trinity: God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost. This is what makes a Christian. And of course, being baptized in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. That's what makes you a Christian. And the Mormons, they don't believe in the Trinity. They don't believe in the Holy Trinity. And that's, that okay. But don't call yourself a Christian. You have to call yourself a Mormon. Or yeah, you have to call yourself a Mormon because you believe and and the Smith tablets, right? In the Smith tablets in the Book of Mormon. If that's what you believe in, then you're a Mormon. And I don't understand why the Mormons, on paperwork and in public, call themselves Christians. I think that's very, very deceptive, and it is deceptive. It's very deceptive. Um, and so when you have Charlie Kirk, and you can't understand uh, what is going on a Utah campus, the largest um, Mormon campus I think in the country. I think in the country, 80% Mormon. And then you have a Christian, one that believes that Jesus Christ will rule with an iron rod, because Jesus is the incarnation of God the Father, God the Creator, and and that we have a Trinity here, right? Uh, it- this, and you speak as a Christian. Then I think that could be upsetting to some people, right? Uh, and if you are brought up that, you know, you are not tolerable, right, to free speech, then you can get pretty violent. Um, uh, but you have to respect. In this country, we still have the First Amendment, thank God, and that means that um, you have to respect people's right to speak, right to speak. Okay, you can't commit a crime speaking, but you have the right to speak. And also, if you want to believe in Mormonism, that's your right. If you want to believe in Christianity, that's your right. And that's uh, uh, that's the First Amendment. Um, and this was a big problem, because uh, Charlie Kirk didn't do anything except for speak. Well, he raised money by speaking to people. And so I think we have to understand that, because that is the reason why they didn't like him. Whoever whoever is the shooter. And I don't think it's just one person. You can say, "Oh, it's one person behind that rifle with one shot." But I don't think it's just one person. I think one person did it, but I think that that person was supported. And how do I know that? Well, because the evidence. Look at what's on TikTok. Look at how some have been already fired because of the way they covered Charlie Kirk's assassination. Um, you know, uh, so this was, to me, a high IQ person. This was someone that was very trained with the weapon, a sharpshooter, and and absolutely familiar with the campus, had surveilled the campus, had surveilled Charlie Kirk, um, and you know uh, they have this man in a video. They said they come out with the bullets, the weapon, the unspent bullets, and the weapon, and there's some writing and this and that, and I just think all of that is way too easy. Knowing the narrative with the Walmart mass shooting and how that was fabricated, I'm very leery about that kind of stuff. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. I can't speak to it yet, but I'm just saying I'm very leery about the whole what's going on. And his picture really looks like this lady from the Butler right behind President Trump, right? From the Butler attempt that she was, you know, um, videotaping everything pretty calmly, and that's what drew all of the attention, was her demeanor, the way she acted when President Trump was shot in the head. You know, that's what drew all of the curiosity to who in the heck is this woman? Who in the heck is this woman? And the suspicion was that she was this FBI agent with connections to Utah. And but the thing is with Butler, Pennsylvania, that whole incident has not really been investigated thoroughly. Has not been investigated at all. I mean, what have you heard? No one even talks about it. It's like they just want to put it right underneath the carpet, throw it out. They don't even want to address it. And so, maybe now with this new information, it will be addressed, because this man in the picture that looks like her is also from connected to Utah, and really is very familiar with UVU, and uh, you know we'll see if it's him, um, and what the evidence shows, right? But I just was very shocked with the picture coming out from the FBI today of this young man that looks so much like this same woman, right? Well, looks so much like it. Um, and this connection with Utah. And of course, in our son's case, the, uh, a very important uh, common denominator is this Mormon connection, like with Conal Whetten to Woody Hunt, who is the billionaire. I mean, he owns the biggest building, the biggest high rise in El Paso downtown area. He owns, so much, and including El Paso Community Foundation. He's behind, and Texas Tech um, uh, University Health Science Center, and the dentist, Texas Tech Dentistry, um, and I could just go on and on about El Paso, about Texas Tribune and USA Today and the Kansas City Chiefs, and you just go on, and there's some really important property, real estate that he owns in El Paso, and all of his, and his contracts with the U.S. military is just huge. So all of his um, control, you would think, if he had good intentions, right? If he had good intentions, there would be nothing stopping him. El Paso would be so good, so beautiful, and he would leave an amazing legacy. But that's not the case in El Paso. It is absolutely corrupt. You can't even bury your loved one without worrying. If you want to cremate your loved one, you have to really worry, right? Because even the funeral homes are not trustworthy. Um, and all the burial and everything. So I mean, they're trafficking bodies over and over again, right? Over and over again, for the same body. Um, Absolutely. So I'm just make sure I keep with you. I saw your post with photos of the FBI agent and Charlie Kirk suspect. There are definitely similarities. The suspect looks much younger than what the FBI agent would be, but similar. Absolutely, they look so much alike. It just raised some red flags for us. And the big red flag is, why hasn't Butler, Pennsylvania incident, the assassination attempt on our presidential candidate, right? Because he was a presidential candidate at the time. Why wasn't that investigated thoroughly, right? Why wasn't that investigated thoroughly? I think that is the big question. And uh, were there more connections with Utah than then we know. Then we know. Because in our son's case, it's just flush with this common denominator. Okay. And I've said it for years. And, this, I call it the Mormon faction now, because I don't want people to think that I'm picking on the Mormons. I'm saying that this Mormon faction, they probably belong to the same stake there, in because they call their area a stake. Um, that they, if they belong to the same stake, this is a conflict of interest, and we know that there's conflicts of interest all over the place in El Paso, and that's why there's so many problems. And we know that Conal Whetten and Leilani Hart and uh, and Woody Hunt, the billionaire, belong to the same Mormon faction, right? They belong to the same Mormon faction, and there's so many more. That's not limited to that, and that needs to be looked at. And I think that Woody Hunt needs to be looked at, because look at the mess El Paso is in. So the Army blesses him. El Paso blesses him with all of those real estate contracts, with all of it. Him turning over the money with El Paso Community Foundation. I can tell you El Paso Community Foundation is up to no good. They have all the appearance of goodness, right? And say they give money for this and money for that. But that's a wash machine. That comes right back at them. And, it needs to be investigated. That's what I'm saying. Because he controls Bob Moore of El Paso Matters. And Bob Moore is up to no good. And we have the latest that he's up to no good. And I even wrote some notes down about that, about the Max Grossman case, because we were right about that. We said that this was retaliation against Max Grossman. Whether you like Max Grossman or not, he is a controversial person, right? Because he likes to speak his mind. He likes to assert his First Amendment right to and make money doing so. And so, you have to realize that. And you can't commit a crime doing it, but you can give your opinion. And we absolutely alerted Max Grossman to our son's case, to the problems in the DA's office, and to uh, the impersonating individuals in the MAG court, right? In the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, who are not legally the judges because they're not elected. And the Texas Constitution since 2015, that magistrate court uh, gained full jurisdiction of the county of El Paso. Therefore, under the Constitution, the Texas Constitution, those judges must be elected. And they're not elected. Okay? They're not elected. So, therefore, they're not abiding by the Texas Constitution, the law of the land. That makes them illegitimate. That makes them imposters. And they need to pay back the money. And they need think about all the cases that they've botched. And so for Max Grossman, this is interesting, because what we sent him a year ago, I think it was, um, now he can use in his own case against those that are politically targeting him for um, you know in retaliation for what he ended up stopping, real estate development, or exposing people's fraud, or whatever. Okay, he's made some people not too happy. So I made some notes here because I think it's important, and I posted it up. So let's look at Max Grossman's case. It happened on August 27th. Grossman and his ex-partner got into an argument. I put fight down. I should have put argument down. She says that he pushed her with both of his hands, right? Two hands, right? I should have put that in there. But with two hands, she went and saw a doctor the next day. But she had had surgery. Okay, I just want to say she had surgery on her chest. Um, and so who knows uh, what was going on, in that. Um, and I think that will come out in the court. But she was diagnosed with a hematoma. Okay, a bruise. That's a bruise. Okay, so um, but the thing is she didn't feel in danger because she continued to live with him, to live with Max Grossman in the same house. If this was so traumatic, um, then why is she still living with him in the same house? She's not poor, right? She's not poor. She could go stay somewhere else. I'm sure she has friends there. We found friends very quickly in El Paso. So, you know, that, even let us stay, even invited us to stay in parts of their house. So, you know, uh, it doesn't make any sense if she felt traumatized. Um, why did she live with him for days after the 27th of August? But that, the court will handle that. Then the arrest, the police report was filed late at night on September 3rd. Well, the whole late at night, early in the morning from the Walmart mass shooting case, um, the appointed counsel, right? The application for the appointed counsel happened at 4:53 in the morning, I believe it was. 4:53 in the morning on a Sunday morning, on a Sunday morning, we're going to approve appointed counsel for Patrick Crucius, giving um, um, Joe Spencer an open checkbook of taxpayer funds. That's what that did. And he said he wasn't going to take the case unless he had an open checkbook. And he said that to Madrano, Judge Madrano, and Judge Guadarrama. Madrano wasn't even on the case, on the Walmart case when that happened. It was like, okay, well, that's a piece of evidence. Why are you even telling Judge Madrano? Um, it was all very clear that it was orchestrated and planned out in advance. This bloody Walmart mass shooting. So we know that this late night on September 3rd, Grossman was arrested. Um, you know, this police report early, in the morning, I guess he posted a $2,500 bond and was out. And then that's when the custody battle started happening with their daughter. And the order was lifted, uh, you know, um, within a week, suggesting that, you know, the danger was not really there. It was overstated, right? So that's kind of what happened in the Max Grossman case, and you would not have believed the comments when he was arrested. They were brutal. It was like there was a keyboard warrior army that was, attack dogs going after him. That it was just brutal. And it just did not seem normal. It did not seem natural. It did not seem, it seemed like it was a political hit, and that political battle was being printed out, or exposed on social media or whatever, to hurt him. He was absolutely being attacked because um, y- the media should have responded in a much different way. But what happened? Who got into this mess? Of course, Bob Moore of El Paso Matters did. The 501c3 nonprofit, the one that knows better, not to play political games. That's not allowed to play political games because they violate their 501c3, that they have to be neutral in their coverage of stories. But they didn't do that. They published a hit piece instead in the news, and um, they ran this story the day after his arrest, before any kind of facts were published, and they didn't even bother. That's like posting a verdict before the trial, right? And that's Bob Moore, of course. And uh, the the author the author of the El Paso Matters article um, had a real problem with Max Grossman. Why? Because Nicola Farini, right? She was a former city official whose professional credentials Grossman had publicly exposed. So she had it in for him. She, or she had that conflict of interest and didn't expose it. She didn't disclose that she had that kind of uh, conflict of interest. And so it does stink like revenge. It stinks like revenge by El Paso Matters, Nicole Farini. And, yeah, she had a beef with Max Grossman, and this looks like a retaliation for her losing um, her credentials. Um, So that is, and then they try to really kind of ignore the true story. And of course, the politicians got into it, Veronica Escobar and this Garcia lady, and to attack Max Grossman, you know, and El Paso Matters basically handed them free campaign material to uh, attack Max Grossman with. That's a big no-no for a nonprofit 501c3. So, yeah, and when a lawyer when a lawyer submitted a rebuttal opinion to offer the other side, Bob Moore replied with, "I'll pass." I'll pass. He doesn't want the First Amendment. He doesn't want a discussion, you see. He doesn't want a back and forth. And we know that 100%. We know that because we tried to contact him over 15 times to tell him the things that we knew. And he avoided us, and he avoided our cease and desist. So, yeah, it is very clear. Um, what has happened is a very clear demonstration and corroboration of what we have filed, and that is that Bob Moore is biased. He is biased. El Paso Matters is biased, and they shouldn't get these benefits if they're not doing what the requirements are in order to get the benefits, and that means to be neutral. He's not. He is not. So it's not about Max Grossman's guilty or innocent. That's for the courts to decide. Uh, but this is a news organization cannot come out and hold power over like this case and try to influence it, try to manipulate it, try to obstruct it, uh, yeah, and be biased, right? It's that gets very messy. It's bias, and it's a perfect example um, of why uh, Bob Moore cannot be trusted. Okay, that's what that is. So very important. Um, Veronica Escobar. Oh, I wanted to talk about that, but I'll probably do that tomorrow. Let's read some more. Ever investigate the connection between Bridge, Mesa, Arizona, and the cartel? I haven't. I haven't ever exactly. I know your president and his cabinet has eyes on all the mess that is going on. He is just letting the rats go to their big fish and gotcha in the name of Jesus Almighty. Um, Yeah, I think it's more complicated for President Trump than that, because I think that there are a lot of bad actors that he's dealing with, and he knows that. So we are, you know, I don't, I want to say we don't wait for President Trump, right? We don't wait for him. We keep on demanding accountability and Richard's remains, no matter what happens. That's the point. And, he's human. There's so much going on. You have to just keep doing what you need to do to get accountability and our son's remains, and that's what we've been doing. And it seems to be um, having an effect over in Juarez anyway. These people over in Juarez that were handed crushed rocks and mortar dust um, for in urns for their loved ones. They are sick and tired. They're like, no way, we're not doing this. And they are absolutely so brave, and they're calling out Mauro Campos and Cesar Hargi and Carlos Manuel Salas and other officials, that which is very dangerous to do, because this is the Sinaloa faction, the Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa cartel. It can get very dangerous. These people are very brave for doing what they're doing, and they are exposing um, the whole funeral body, rotting body, um, to trafficking cabal that they have going on there. So there's so much crime. There really is so much crime that it's just jaw dropping. And one example of that is that there's was 700 executions so far in Juarez. These are not traffic deaths. These are not accident deaths. These are not lightning strike deaths. These are executions, and they've had 700 so far this year, and the year is not even over with yet, and it surpasses our most dangerous cities. And I posted that up, and I think it's very, very important to tell people that we absolutely have to address this cartel problem, because they'll just make life just totally chaotic and very violent, very violent. So um, yeah, I just can't even believe 700 executions in Juarez so far this year in 2025. That surpasses Chicago, y'all. That surpasses Baltimore. It's pretty violent over there. And, you know, uh, and I guess if you're the cartel and you run the funeral business and you like to traffic bodies over and over again and cash in on them, over and over again, recycling the bodies, um, you know, uh, that I guess you're going to have a culture of death, right? You're going to have a culture of executions and death, um, and that's what they have there. So, but that crematorium, that funeral business that is absolutely cartel tied, is also tied to El Paso. They're bringing that culture over to El Paso, to the United States, and into our military base, Fort Bliss. Mortuary operations is tied to this group, okay, is tied to these operations. And we believe that part of our son's remains ended up in the Plenitude crematorium. And so this is absolutely relevant to our son's case. and getting accountability and bringing his remains home, just like Charlie Kirk's remains were brought home today. We want our son's remains brought home today. Yeah, today. Yeah, so this is all very, very relevant. And the people over there, the families that feel the same way, that they're they thought that their loved ones were cremated, but they weren't. They were just stacked upon each other, let to rot, let the rats eat through them, and now they want their loved one's body. And to go in front of the palace there, the government house there. That was amazing. That building is so amazing. That's an ancient structure. That's an ancient structure. Thank God they haven't destroyed it. They like to destroy those beautiful buildings with those beautiful doors and everything. It's just amazing. And, I like architecture, so I have to comment on it all because we have to open our eyes and see around us and see the culture and what it builds and what that declares to us. Um, so for those families to go to that building, that beautiful building, government palace building, and stand up to them and name names, they have a lot of courage, and they're sick of it. They're sick of it, and so there seems to be a real change then in the government there in Juarez. So and I can tell you that right now because of everything that's coming out. So I hope that we covered everything. It's been a very busy news day. It's 2 a.m. here. And I'm just so grateful that everyone comes on and gives us the time. And please share, because this is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we have to stop this cartel activity. We have to stop the collusion and um, the compromising and the pollution um, that this has brought um, that causes so much pain. And thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. See, oh, so much. Yes, thank you, Danielle. Thank you so much.